Hi, welcome back again to the Strong Conversations podcast inside the Simpson Strong Tie booth here in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada at NAHB's International Builders Show. I am still Sam Marcoux, and joining me now is the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Tom Winters from Sherwin Williams Paint. Tom, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking.
No, thanks for being here. Now, I think I first officially met you in person. It would have been about 6 months ago now, I think.
Okay.
And you, as well as a bunch of other people in our industry, got together and we had a nice chat. And I was floored and blown away at the stories, which we'll talk about some other time. But really, the command of the room and the respect that you got from everybody in there. You had suppliers and manufacturing reps from all over the country, and they were just hanging on every single word. And that's why, when we say the man, the myth, the legend, at least for me, it's appropriate. I think that's your official title. But for those that don't know you, who haven't had the pleasure yet, what is it that you do for Sherwin-Williams, and how long have you been doing it?
So I'm the Senior Director of National Accounts. So that means I'm over our home builder division at Sherwin-Williams. And I've been in the industry for 30 years. And I've met a lot of people over those years and have created a lot of relationships. And I've mentored a lot of people throughout the industry, even companies, individuals who didn't even work for the company I was with at the time. So I've only been with Sherwin-Williams for 2 years, but have been in building products for 30.
Well, you mentioned mentorship, and it's funny that you say that. We didn't really talk about mentoring as maybe a topic for you and I to talk about, but it has come up a few times over the last couple of days since I've been in this booth, and I haven't left this booth. This is actually where I sleep at night. Simpson Strong Tie saved some money this year on hotel rooms because you're actually sitting where I sleep
I
here
feel
at night.
that now.
yeah. But Tina Haro, who works for Simpson Strong Tie, she considers you a mentor, and rightfully so. She speaks the world of you, and we all love Tina Haro. Who doesn't love Tina Haro? And she attributes a lot of her success to people like yourself helping her along the way. Is it something that you actively decided that you wanted to mentor people, or is it something that just sort of happened? How did that whole process come about?
No, that's a great question. So I think I became a mentor back in 2007. I worked for another company. As you know, that there was a little recession back then, and I found myself unemployed. And I read a book called The Eagle's Secret by David McNally. And it talked about survivors versus thrivers and the approach that you take in life and the vocabulary that you would use and your mindset that you would use. And I found it to be very helpful during that transition. And fortunately, I was able to find another position that was a great fit for me that I was in that position for 15 years as a vice president of national accounts. But when I went through that process, there were hundreds of people just like me looking for employment. And so I felt compelled to share that book with them. And when I started seeing that impact that I was making in other people's lives, I said, well, maybe I should just continue this, And I kind of fell into it, to be honest with you. I didn't have a goal. I wasn't trying to do something. It was an organic situation that developed into something, and I just have never stopped. So to this day, I still give out copies of that book.
Wow. That's incredible.
I've given out over 300 copies of that book.
Did you have mentors coming into the industry 30 years ago? Was there somebody that looked after you and said, this guy's got something going on and I want to help?
Yeah, so I had one at Delta Faucet Company, and I was going through a slight personal crisis with my family at the time, and I came in and explained that I was going to have to resign my position so I could take care of some family issues. And he immediately said, no, you're not. And then he became my impromptu mentor at that point. And so I've always felt like I needed to do what he did for somebody else, right? Because everyone's dealing with a crisis. Everybody. I don't care who you are. There's something going on outside of your professional life and your personal life. And we're all impacted by that, and I think you just have to be conscious of that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's kind of interesting to hear those types of stories, and like you said, that stays with you. 100%. 30 years later, you're still telling that story and how it's impacted you, and hopefully you can turn whatever that is into a positive because of the experience that came out of that. That's incredible. What is also incredible is the fact that we are here day 3. I think it's day 3. If you never go to sleep, Tom, I think it's just one long day.
Yeah.
So it's day 1 for me, maybe still.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. But how has the International Builder Show treated you this year?
So it's been fun to come back, because one of the things, ironically, that they talk about is the number of people that are here, right?
Yeah.
So when you combine the IBS show with KBIS, we have 120,000 people here.
Yeah.
Those are the numbers we had back in the early 2000s, right? So I would tell you that it's fun to be back almost at the pinnacle of what this industry used to be. So that just shows you that the demand for products, for housing, it's there and it's strong, and it's fun to be a part of that.
We had Jeff and Tucker on yesterday from NAHB, and I asked what happens next week, and the answer was a lot of horizontal, a little bit of rest before we start kicking it in again for next year. It's a machine, and it's so well run, it's so well organized. It's incredible to see how this all comes together. So from the Sherwin Williams perspective, what's your goal when you come to a show like this? What's the number one thing on your list that you are looking to accomplish?
So Sherwin Williams has a lot of goals.
Yeah.
A lot of the people who come to our booth are designers, right? But specifically for my team, we're here to see the national builders and to build on those relationships. We do it through a variety of, face-to-face meetings at our booth, at our hotel, their hotel, somewhere in between. And, we just continue to have that open dialogue with our customers, and this is just one more opportunity to be able to get in front of all of them. And of course, we cherish those times and moments, because if there's ironically, a little fire has kind of come up within our industry, and specifically with builders and ourselves, and it gave us an opportunity to address it immediately versus a week or two from now, right? So the timing was perfect for a problem to arise so that we could address it immediately and resolve it.
It's kind of nice when you can plan your problems to occur at the right time in life and business and everything else, right?
I'd rather do here than while I'm on vacation, right?
Well, there you go. See, there's always, that's why he's the legend right there. Look at that perspective that he just gave us. It could always be worse.
Yeah.
So one of the fascinating things in setting up, we had a prep call for this podcast. You were one of the very first people that we booked on this show for this event. And you had made some claims, which, not to say I didn't believe you, but I was like, I'm going to fact check that.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't sound right to me, knowing full well that at some point it had to have happened. But you had mentioned that Sherwin Williams invented the modern paint can.
Correct.
And it would make sense that a paint company would do that, or somebody involved. But I looked it up, and wouldn't you know it, the internet tells me you're right, Tom.
Yeah.
That's so a resealable, reusable can of paint. Prior to that innovation, painting was completely different.
Correct.
In the industry as a whole. That's incredible. It's one of those weird innovations that has impacted just about everybody inside and outside this industry.
Nobody even thinks about it.
You never think about it.
Right.
Paint rollers too.
Correct.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
How do you follow that up? How do you follow up, the paint can and the paint roller? How do you? I mean, that's a history. You got a culture there.
Yeah. So we literally invented water-based paint. We invented low VOC, zero VOC paint. We invented the color match technology that people use, and so we're continually looking at products that. What if you could put a paint on your house that reflected the heat off, and so you could use a smaller HVAC unit on your house because your house didn't get as hot in the summertime, or yet it stayed warmer in the wintertime. That's the kind of technologies that we're looking at on a daily basis. We've actually and it's in the marketplace today, a paint we call Super Paint Air Purify. And so not only is it zero VOC, but when you bring into a room that say it's empty, you have a zero VOC paint on the wall, you bring in a carpet, you bring in a piece of furniture, well, that sometimes is going to off gas. So you're going to be putting VOCs into your room.
Gotcha, yeah.
We have a paint that actually neutralizes that.
Really?
So it keeps the room at a zero VOC.
Now, again, that's something that I don't think a lot of people consider, but that's a huge benefit to a homeowner. It's a huge benefit to a home builder. It's advancing the entire industry forward, especially when you get into, a a healthy home, if you will,
Correct.
right? I mean, that's one of the topics that I'm hearing a lot of, just how do we make these energy efficient, healthy homes? Obviously, cycle times are huge. Labor shortage is still a big issue. Technology and software. Are you guys playing in that space when it comes to software technology?
We are. I just want to piggyback on something real quick. So the number one surface in your home is going to have paint on it.
Yeah.
Which are walls and your ceilings, right? And then your flooring, like if you're using, even if you're using a wood flooring or using a plank product, in most cases it's going to have our stain on it, right? So we basically cover the entire inside of your home and the exterior, but when it comes to air quality, it can make a huge impact. So going back to your question about technology, sorry, we're heavily invested in technology, especially digital technology, so that you can, I could take a picture of a room with furniture in it. We have a visualizer. You push a button, it'll tell you the top 10 colors you should paint your walls, and it shows it to you immediately.
No way.
I can do it in anybody's house. I can go into a home that's got white walls, and we can take a picture of what your cabinet, like just take a picture inside your house, and it'll tell you the top 10 colors you should paint your rooms immediately.
And what is that? Well, maybe it's proprietary and you can't tell me, but how does that work? Is it pushing out the latest colors that are kind of the fashionable rage?
It uses artificial intelligence, and it does it instantly.
Wow. Is there a way to take a picture of my wall and somehow fix all the wrong finishes that I've put on the wall to try to match the existing paint in my house? Is there a way to fix my errors?
Yeah, we'll use primer first, and then we'll paint.
Primer. See, it's the basics there. Again, mentoring them. Now, I'm fascinated by stats. I talked earlier. We had NAHB in here yesterday, and they were giving me some stats, and it was just kind of like, wow, that's incredible. You had dropped some stats about Sherwin Williams and just the coverage that your company has within the United States. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but some of the things, and if I say these wrong, please correct them. But it's something like you guys open a new Sherwin Williams paint store. Is it every 5 days?
So we used to say every 4 days.
4 days.
We are now at a point where we can say almost every 2.5 days.
Every 2.5 days, you have a new Sherwin Williams store popping up somewhere in America.
Yep.
Incredible. Wow. So I believe it was. What's the percentage of people that are within like 15 minutes of a Sherwin Williams store?
Yeah. So 90% of America is within less than 15 minutes of a Sherwin Williams store. So if you think of where you live, like where I live, I know where there's 4 Sherwin Williams in any direction. And being an employee, I go to all 4 so that I don't wear one out.
Well, which one do you work at?
I don't work at any of them.
The reason I say that is that's a question you get a lot, because you're not end user facing necessarily in your role, right? You're not necessarily talking to the homeowner about paint colors or anything like that. But when you tell people that you work for Sherwin Williams, the question you get more often than anything else is that, right? Which one do you work at?
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy because I'm a very down-to-earth person. You know, I really am. That's just my nature. And somebody said, well, what do you do? And I explained that I run our national builder business. And that's $1 billion business.
Yeah.
Just builders for us. So and then people kind of give me a weird look and walk away, right? Because then it sounds like I'm smarter than what I really am.
Well, maybe that's cool though. I mean, it sets you up for success. I just manage $1 billion day to day. You know. Yeah. Normal stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility, but we have a great team, and quite frankly, they don't need me. I could be overhead one day, I don't know, but they do a great job, and we got great people and great culture. We've been around for 158 years, and it's an amazing company.
Well, I'm curious, pulling the lens back a little bit, because I would consider you an industry expert. You've worked at different companies. You've been here for 30 some odd years, like you talked about, in the industry. Talking to a lot of people, we're here early in 2025. There's been a lot of headwinds, and there's some uncertainty as to what's going to happen the rest of the year and beyond. There's a lot of stuff that we can't control. There's stuff on the political side. There's stuff that's going on with regards to interest rates, and it's all sort of connected, but it all impacts us, regardless of what company you work for. What are you seeing? What are you feeling? Where do you think the industry is going to be going on the building side for the rest of the year?
Yeah. So I'm an optimist by nature, right? And so I think we'll be up 5%. That's just my Since you have a crystal ball, I said, no, I have a snow globe, right? But I do think we'll be up about 5% this year. I think because demand's there, right? So the number one problem I think really affecting affordability for most people is interest rates, right? It's the hottest topic that's out there. And I was sharing with some other people earlier, there's two things that impact interest rates. And the one thing is what you always hear in the media, which is the Fed cutting the rates. And that does make an impact, but not a huge impact, because the majority of what an interest rate is based on, like a 30-year mortgage, is what's the 10-year Treasury doing? And that makes a huge impact. And what if we can get the 10-year Treasury to go down a little bit, plus with the rate cuts that the Fed's doing, that's where I think you're going to see some movement. And if we just went down 1%, 1%, I think the floodgates open. I think we'll all be up 10% in our volume. So, and I do think there's a potential for that. One of the really interesting things that I think is happening right now, and not a lot of people are talking about it, but I think it's really interesting, the administration that's in place today, they're looking about who are they going to put in charge of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, and that's Bill Pulte who started Pulte Homes. So for the first time in history that I'm aware of, we actually have a builder who's going to be over that program, who understands the impacts that makes in our industry regarding how interest rates could be done. And so, and this administration's very big. They've made multiple comments about getting interest rates to come down just a little bit. And I think there's an opportunity for us to have a great year this year.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that. Nobody else has brought that up, or at least that not to me, about, just some of the people in charge who could and will impact what goes forward. I think for the most part, what I'm hearing, Tom, is most people are saying the demand is there, people are ready. We're trying to get our organization ready, whatever that organization is, so that when the gates open up, we aren't flooded by the onslaught of potential, industry and business that's going to be there. So you guys, you personally, you obviously follow what's going on. Does that change your approach to the market for Sherwin Williams and how you work with your builders? Is it a lesson in patience? Is it just making sure that we have the right product in the right areas? Because we know once the ignition gets turned on in some of these markets, it's going to be hot and heavy, or how does that work?
So we're actually pretty blessed, anytime there's some type of a tragedy, and maybe that's not the word to use, but when the storms hit Texas a couple years ago and took out the resin suppliers, when COVID came and totally disrupted our industry, we came out a lot stronger because it forced us to do things differently. Because of all of that chaos back then, we've become a much stronger company, and we're prepared. We have the ability to essentially flip the switch on 50 million additional gallons of paint tomorrow and not skip a beat. To put that in perspective, that would be like me taking 100% of one of my competitors' business, away, and we still would have capacity, to take care of the customer. So we're very vertically integrated. We own a resin supplier at this point. We own the tanker trucks. We own our own distribution centers. We own all of the semi-trucks you see going down the road. We own, obviously, all of our plants across the U.S. When the product gets to the stores, we have a whole fleet of trucks there, all store employees. So we literally can deliver everything to the job site, almost like an Amazon delivery, where we take a picture of it at the end, show that it's been delivered. We do everything but paint the house at this point, right? So from the beginning to end, a painter doesn't even have to come in our stores anymore. We have apps. They can order everything they want on the app, pay for it on the app, and set up delivery on the app, just like you would a pizza. And here we have 50 gallons of paint being delivered into a garage. He never even had to come into the store.
And that level of sophistication to the business has got to, I would imagine, when you're meeting with your builder partners, put some minds at ease, give some confidence. But you guys are a worldwide name brand, but that's why, right? Is that type of service, that type of control of everything going on there. I would imagine your builder partners are like, that is amazing to hear, and thank you.
Well, much like yourselves, we want to be an expert at what we do, right? So you're an expert at what you guys do, and we try to be an expert at what we do.
Well, since I do have an industry expert here, I have a trade show expert here.
Okay.
I have an industry mentor. When do you go home?
I leave tomorrow.
You leave tomorrow. All right. So I'm in the same boat as you. I was going to go home today. I'm now going home tomorrow.
Yep.
And that means I got to go to dinner tonight.
Yes, sir.
So, as a veteran of this game, as an industry expert, as a mentor, if you had to guide me to go somewhere to eat tonight in Las Vegas, anywhere,
Yes.
on strip, off strip, Fremont Street, wherever, where are you telling me to go? What's the best meal in Las Vegas tonight?
That changes every year for me, and I've been doing this for 28 years coming to this show, but I really enjoy Red 8 at the Wynn.
Red 8.
Red 8 at the Wynn.
So what's their specialty? What am I ordering there?
So oh boy, I don't know. I order multiple things when I'm there, right? So it's a sushi, environment, but everything I got there 2 days ago was fantastic, and I'm still thinking about it. So it was top of mind as soon as you said that.
You've got 4 cameras on you, and the smile on your face reminiscing about that
it's
meal.
Fantastic.
Awesome. All right, last question for you. Maybe the most important question of the entire show.
Okay.
I think you'll go home and you'll reflect on your entire experience here at IBS, and you go, that last question that Sam Marcoux asked me was the game changer. So we are in Las Vegas. If you had a chance to win $1 million playing one casino game, you get to pick the game. What game are you picking and why?
So I don't normally gamble, but I have been a sucker for slot machines. And so I like Double Diamond.
Okay.
Only because I've won thousands of dollars playing it before.
There you go.
So I'm loyal to it now because it was loyal to me.
I think you are one of 2 people that went slot routes.
Yes.
We had one of the suppliers here, Tyson, yesterday from Desert Fasteners and Lumber. He said, "Well, you got to pull the slot on like the Mega Millions slot machine. If you're going to win $1 million, go for 15 million. Why not?"
Right.
A lot of people saying craps, a lot of people saying roulette, but I like it. You're going with the experience, just like the food.
Right.
Food was good, go there. I've won on this machine, I'm going there. I like it. That's a man who has experience, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen success here. I'm going to double down, pardon the pun, and do it again. Tom Winters, Sherwin Williams, anything else you want to talk about before I let you go and finish off your IBS experience?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
We thank you for being here. Thank you for being a friend, a mentor, a partner in this industry for not just myself and others, but everyone out there. And thank all of you for tuning in yet again to another episode of Strong Conversations. Believe it or not, we are not done. We have more coming from the floor at IBS 2025. Stick around.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's great.